Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40k Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today, we continue talking about Spacemarine chapters as we get to the Death Spectres. Now, we're not going to cover everything 100% on this video, so if you want to read up on the Death Spectres, click on the link below. That's going to take you to the wiki page that has all this awesome information. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We post new Warhammer 40k videos every single day. With that said, let's get into 40 facts about the Death Spectres. The Death Spectres is a loyalist chapter of Spacemarines of the 13th founding, only the second known chapter of Astartes, besides the Exorcists, to have been created in that unusual founding, known as the Dark Founding. It is a successor chapter of the Raven Guard, as it shares many of the same mutations as found in that chapter's gene seed. The Death Spectres primarily wear black power armor. The incent of the shoulder plates are white with black trim. The aquila or imperialis on the chest plates, as well as the helmet, are bone white. The Death Spectres chapter badge is a large bone white skull with a pair of crossed ebon sides directly behind it, centered on a field of white. Of the dark and terrible times, known to later historians as the Nova Terra Interregnum, when the Imperium fractured into warrior factions during the late 34th millennium, there exist in what records remain from this era, scattered and veiled references to a great threat arising from the ghoul stars, known as the Pale Wasting. Much of the evidence relating to this threat has been censored or purposefully destroyed, but there are contradictory indications which describe the nature of the threat as both a star-spawned plague that swept away scores of worlds, and as a nightmare engine, slaughtering the population of whole sectors. Those partial records which have been uncovered suggest that the threat was Xenos in nature, and that more than one Space Marine chapter may have been completely destroyed in the course of the conflict. The Xenos threat briefly mentioned in the Imperial historical records might be the Thexian elite of the Thexian Trade Empire, a biomorphic race few in number but strong in influence. They hail from the oxidated worlds known as the Blood Moons of Thex Prime, which are located in the region of space known as the Ghoul Stars. These vile Xenos are known to be masters of manipulation and have worked themselves into integral positions in the Borlak, Loxel, and Nikosar civilization. Though Thexians are famously persuasive, when guile is not enough, their battle form is quite horrific to behold. 11 Space Marine chapters were lost in the final battles of what must have been a truly apocalyptic struggle. The chronicles of many chapters who took part in this campaign are curiously empty of any reference to this conflict, and it is quite possible that this ancient threat may have also accounted for the unusually large number of formerly human-inhabited dead worlds in the region. Following this lamentable period of history, the 13th founding, also known as the Dark Founding, occurred sometime between the 35th and the 36th millennium, and is one of the very rare foundings of Space Marine chapters that were not recorded in exact detail. Since the Horus Heresy, the Adeptus Terra has maintained the bank of original gene seed tides by every single chapter ever created, with one notable exception, the 13th founding. There are no reliable records that indicate how many chapters were created during the Dark Founding, or what became of them. Full disclosure of the exact details of this mysterious founding may lie buried deep within the records of the Adeptus Terra. The Death Spectres were one of these chapters created during this founding. Following their creation, the Death Spectres were stationed beyond the frontiers of the Imperium, and charged by the High Lords of Terra to maintain a constant vigil to ensure that the inhabitants of the Ghoul Stars never again get threatened. The nature of the threat could not be overstated enough. The containment of such a species as the Thexians was worthy of the attention of an entire chapter of Astartes. When the newly created chapter master, Meager Corsidas, was swearing his oath of loyalty and service to the Emperor at the foot of the Golden Throne, he received a vision. Guided by this vision, the chapter master led his chapter to the world of Oklidus and to the very spot where they raised Logopol, their future fortress monastery. It was at this very spot that the chapter would find the source of its destiny, the Shariaks. The Shrieks is an archaic throne contained in an ancient secret dome called the Temple of Voices, deep beneath the planet's surface, and directly underneath the chapter's fortress monastery of Logopol. The throne is where the Meager rules Oclidus and the chapter, but it is also where he will inevitably die. All the chapter masters, upon taking that position within the chapter, take the throne the same day as they take their oath of office. Upon taking the throne, they never rise again, and only rarely communicate with the chapter, and when they do so, only with a few select members. Exactly what the Shrieks does is vaguely hinted at. In return for immense power that can be felt even in the planet's orbit by psychers, the throne slowly drains the life out of whoever sits in it, while also slowly petrifying them, eventually turning the Meager to stone. What this mysterious power is that the chapter master is gifted with is unknown. When the chapter master turns even a portion of his power to some task, the implications are apparently staggering. The fact that it seems to be a psyker-based technology implies that one must be a psyker to use it, reinforced by the fact that when the Meager finally passes, the current chief librarian takes his place. But the references are vague, and it might just be based on the fact that the chapter's strongest warrior must be the new chapter master, and thus it is he who sits upon the throne. Over the millennia, the Death Spectres have been preparing for the Kadash, which translates to living chalice, someone of great significance who, upon taking their place upon the Shrieks, will bring about the great resurrection. The leadership of the Death Spectres has apparently been sowing the seeds of fate to bring about the Kadash's rises throughout the chapter's history. The existence of indigenous and often unique cult belief systems, martial philosophies, and variations of the cult Imperialis within the Adeptus Astartes is far from uncommon. To the Death Spectres, death is important to them in the nature and traditions of their chapter. It is not important in the more morbid sense, such as the way that the Mortification chapter celebrates it, but in a more somber, respectful sense, such as the way that the Star Phantoms embrace it. True to Imperial dogma, they hold a central tenet of their belief, that only those who die in battle will be reborn, and while they give little leeway to respite to the living, they deeply honor those who fall in the Emperor's service, and hold the many martyrs of the Imperium and the dead of their chapter with extreme reverence. Upon the death of a battle brother of the chapter, those Death Spectres whose bodies can be recovered are returned to Logopol and are mummified, and then interned within the fortress monastery's catacombs. Death Spectres find great comfort and peace in the quiet of the endless graveyards and tomb cities of their homeworld, which include Logopol. Battle Brothers of the chapter are also known to utilize a unique gesture known as a Masrahim, the salute of the skull and throne. This is done by placing the left hand, palm up, next to the abdomen, and then placing the right hand in a closed fist in the palm of the left. Like the Raven Guard, the Battle Brothers of this chapter possess a minor mutation that causes the melanchronic organ, which controls the amount of melanin in an Astartes skin tone, to not function properly, leading to the development of albinism in the Death Spectre Astartes. Differing melanchrome gene seed from chapter to chapter leads to variation in skin and hair color, and in some chapters, all the Space Marines may have the identical coloration. Such is found in an albino warriors of the Death Spectre chapter. Another aspect of the genetic flaws of their gene seed is that it causes all members of the chapter to possess glowing blood-red eyes as well. Over time, the Death Spectres have lost the use of two of the special organs produced by the basic Astartes genetic template. The Becher's gland, which allows a Space Marine to produce poisonous acidic spittle, and the mucranoid, which causes a Space Marine's body to secrete a waxy protein substance similar to mucus through the pores that seal his skin. Space Marines are cocooned in this way before they enter suspended animation, and the process can even protect them from the harshness of vacuums and other extremes of temperature, particularly deeply frigid environments. And those were 40 facts about the Death Spectres. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I feel like that left At least it left me with more questions than answers. This whole like existence of that Xenos race, the Thexian elite, that seems pretty badass. I want to research more on that. And again, the Death Spectres are an extremely just awesome chapter because of their color scheme. It just fits so perfectly with the way the Space Marines are designed. So if you collect them, good for you. I'm going to ask for a huge favor now. If you could please, don't forget to make suggestions as to what other topics you guys would like us to cover. Comment down below. And also, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. By you guys liking our videos, by you sharing, it helps us out tremendously. So post this on Twitter, Facebook, whatever you need to do. It really helps out the channel. And again, guys, thank you for everything. See you guys tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.